Buddy, welcome back to another page of the playbook. We are shorthanded tonight. You got Nate, you got Opal, you got Seeps. We are here. We are ready to party. Addison, how you doing after? Listen, I'm sorry, man. The Bears just find new ways to cause pain every single week. Blocked field goal, Hail Mary, down 11, game's over. Like, game's over against the Vikings. It's not going to happen. Not only do you get the touchdown, then you recover the damn onside kick, and then you send it to overtime just to lose. It's like, what the hell was the point of all this?
Yeah, that was definitely really tough to watch. I mean, it was super exciting, as a Bears fan, thinking this game is over. The Bears have the ball a minute 40, no timeouts. They march down, score, get to two. You're thinking, oh, maybe onside kick. They're saying only two have been recovered all season. The percentage is super low on the new kickoff. Onside kick's got to be called out, and the Bears get it. Shout out that Minnesota tight end's leg. That was wicked.
Yes.
And then Caleb Williams, absolute dart to DJ Moore over the middle of the field. That I'm really happy with. That I'm pleased with. Overtime did not go so well, but Caleb, rookie mistake on one side. On the other side, though, the defense really bad. Three extremely long situations for gain to get a first down, and the Bears gave up all three of them. And the Minnesota Vikings were able to march and score the game-winning field goal. It was tough to watch. I mean, Eberflus is cooked. That's basically what we get to at this point. It's tough to say because it's been a repeating thing over years now. This was a good loss because it was the way it should have been. Caleb looked good. Offense looks like it has taken steps with Thomas Brown, and the defense has just imploded, which is Eberflus's thing. He's got to be gone, and Caleb Williams looks good. So at least I'm happy about that.
Yeah, you really do hate to say like good moral victory, but it's genuinely like the only thing you want out of this season, in my opinion, is to see Caleb Williams progress and get better from week to week and being an NFL quarterback, because you're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. And you want to get Eberflus out of there, because if he fucks around and wins 9 games, it's like, well, maybe we keep him. And the Bears don't fire coaches midseason. So now you're stuck with him for a whole other season. Got to move on. In my opinion.
100%, 100%. Especially just the way the defense is it's really taking a step back. There's no pressure from the front four. And really, that's just where it turns to. This is on Eberflus. We're not getting the turnovers. So what's your defense doing? It's just being bad. And yeah, gotta go.
Agreed. Colin, Dallas Cowboys. Are we still kicking?
There's still life in this team, Nate. There's still life.
They're back.
No, I'm kidding.
They're not dead.
It's one of those, we talked about it. It's like at this point in the season, like the season's gone. You know what I mean? Like you're not making the playoffs. Dak's out for the whole season, getting surgery on that hamstring. So it's one of those. It's like even the Dallas Cowboys, they can't even lose correctly, because at this point you're just playing for the draft pick, and they're just still winning games where it's like, guys, if we just lose, there's a higher chance we get a higher pick, which means the less likelihood we actually screw up that pick. But I don't know. It is nice to beat a divisional opponent like we were talking about on Sunday. If there's any teams you want them to beat down the stretch, it's just those division foes, just for the bragging rights sake. But heck of a fourth quarter, crazy ending.
Nuts.
Yeah, don't give Jaden Daniels the ball onside kick team. Please do not score that next time, because he's Magic Man, clearly. The Hail Mary against the Bears, and then the Terry McScary play. That was wicked. It was awesome. But then Siebert, hey, he was hurt before that. Want to cut him some slack. Maybe they should have. They didn't have him a week ago. They rushed him back maybe, and it's like they reap what they sow. 2 weeks. So it's like very interesting game, heartbreaking for Commanders fans, because they're falling apart. Their offense is getting figured out a little bit. And Jaden Daniels, I mean, it was magic at the end, but it took to the fourth quarter for him to really get going.
He would have been under 100 yards if it weren't for that 84-yard touchdown. Like, that's an awful game against a Dallas team that genuinely looked like they quit and didn't care anymore. Even on the Terry McLaurin touchdown, I counted 4 dudes watching that back, 4 Dallas defenders who are like half jogging, like, I'm just not interested in tackling this guy. And it's like, okay, like you guys have just given up. Okay, understood. Yeah, but hey, a win's a win, and you love to plant that seed in Jaden Daniels' mind earlier, like, ooh, Cowboys own you. Just get him thinking about it.
Yeah, Colin, you said it. If you're going to beat any teams the rest of the way, it better be NFC East opponents. So that's it.
Yeah, if you're only going to win, 6 games, let it be against your division every single season. Let's just dominate the division, and then whatever else happens. That's totally agreed. Let's move into recapping last week pick records. A strong week on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't like to pat ourselves on the back. We should do well with picks. We should do well here. Outside of mortal locks for me, don't even talk about it. Let's just move on. It's cursed, and I'm using it to my benefit. I don't care. Strong week. Colin, huge week. 10-3 this week. Bumps you up into first place. 179 is now your current record. I mean, 21 games over, very, very solid. Addison 7-6. You're now in second place, but you're only 2 games back, so right there. I went 8-5, which puts me tied for third with Bobby, who went 6-7. So we're both 92 and 87. Addison 98 and 81. So you've got us by about 6 games, and then Sage falling away right into the abyss, like I predicted. 7-6, so an okay week. 87 and 92. Sage had a tough weekend against me. We played in 2 fantasy leagues, and I beat him in both fantasy leagues, and then I beat him in picks and passed him. So whatever. Sorry, I wish Sage was here. Missing him here. Locks of the week, Colin, you got sold by a couple of teams, man. Houston, what the hell happened? Oh my God, losing outright?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a double whammy, like hedge myself. I took Tennessee in our picks plus the 7.5. Thought Houston would ultimately win by I think I teased them down to 2.5. So win by 3, find a happy medium between both of those, get the pick for the pick segment, get the lock for the lock segment. Houston, that was surprising. I mean, wow.
Yeah, Fairbairn with a massive miss at the end. The guy's been money from 50 plus all year. He's got 12 of those bad boys NFL record. Pretty cool. But inside 30 yards at the end of the game, just absolutely shanks one. That's tough. I mean, CJ Stroud did enough at the end to get them in position to at least tie the game. But overall, I mean, that's a tough one, especially with, I mean, their division, it does seem like it's in their hands the rest of the way, but you don't want to lose games you think you can win. And Tennessee's definitely that, looking at their schedule. But there's concerns on the offensive line. CJ Stroud, Bobby Slowick, both have taken a step back. Joe Mixon was a no factor in that game. That's tough. Texans have a lot of issues, I'd say, at the moment. They got to get figured out going forward because postseason's coming, and they're probably going to be there based on their division.
Yeah, agreed. That was one of the games where we didn't clean sweep, but in clean sweeps last week, we had 5 clean sweeps. We all had the Bears plus 3.5. We had Tampa minus 5.5. Denver minus 5.5, Green Bay minus 5.5, and Philly minus 2.5. 5-0 in clean sweeps. That's damn impressive. That's damn impressive. And also, this is a weird one. Every game where one of us were solo, the solo won every time. So there were 2 for Colin. Colin, Browns and Panthers by himself. I was with Seattle and Baltimore by myself. And Sage had Dallas by himself. And all 5 of those games, those were the only times anybody went solo. All 5 of those games, the solo person won. Crazy. Weird week.
Dibs on going last every single time this week. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, right. Bobby already, well, I guess Bobby's already got all of his picks in. So, Addison, kind of back to the Texans-Titans game. Back-to-back outrageous takes. You saying Will Levis, mayonnaise boy, is going to outproduce C.J. Stroud. I mean, you nailed that one. He absolutely outplayed C.J. Stroud. No
Yeah,
question.
I mean, Will Levis was 18-24. I was a little bit off on the completions, but the yardage, I said 280. He was 278. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 bad interception. But C.J. Stroud on the other side, 20-33, only for 247, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. I said it before in pass on the pod. I felt like he was getting lucky at times, not throwing interceptions, and sort of just coming back to reality where, okay, maybe he does throw more picks than we thought. Because he started last year with like 8 games, no interceptions. You know, that's going to help the numbers a little bit, going to skew some people's opinions. But like I said, Texans got to figure it out if they're going to be a competitive playoff team. Got to get their offensive line figured out because that's really the big problem.
Yeah.
No quarterback's going to succeed when they have a bad offensive line in front of them and they're being pressured at an extremely high rate like CJ Stroud is. I think he's good, but he's taking a step back because of the offensive line. They got to figure something out.
Yeah, they got to get some interior guys because he's pressured every time he drops back. And when we were talking about that game, that was like in my head, I'm like, you're overthinking it. But man, T'Vondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons could really ruin this game for Houston. But I was like, no, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just take Houston. But it's like that was spot on. They ruined that game for them.
Yeah, that big man Sweat. He's too big to be moving that quick, that fast, man. He's strong, big, fast. I mean, he's a great defensive tackle. He's nasty.
I mean, I feel like you're getting hit by a minivan every time he hits.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a huge guy.
My God, no thank you. Let's jump into our power rankings going into week 13 of the NFL season. Power rankings brought to you by Goldfine and Bowles. Injured at work, feeling powerless in your current situation? Give the wonderful attorneys at Goldfine and Bowles a phone call. 309-673-5144. Workers' compensation and personal injury attorneys serving the greater Illinois area. These guys are the best in the business without a doubt, and they'll get you every single dime that you deserve. Goldfine and Bowles, it's their experience that wins. Thank you for sponsoring today's Power Rankings. Addison, I want to start with you. Let's hear them. What you got?
Right on. I'm going to have my number 1 team the same as last week, and I've still got them here. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a close one against Carolina, definitely closer than the spread predicted and probably most fans wanted. But Patrick Mahomes played on another level. It was only 10 incompletions. He threw 3 touchdowns. He had a monster run late. He looks like he's getting in form for the postseason, and this Kansas City team is just going to do whatever they have to do to win. And I'm still going to keep them at 1. I get maybe hot take because the number 2 team I have is the Lions. I said it last week. I'm pretty sure they're both 1A. Yeah. This is interchangeable, and the only reason the Lions are not my number 1 team is just the Kansas City Chiefs. Their offense is absurd. We talk about it every week, so I'm just going to skip ahead to my number 3 team. That's the Buffalo Bills. Can't really move them off of a bye. Just like what they've done on offense, Josh Allen all year, he's limited the turnovers, especially through the air. And I love what they're doing so far in Buffalo. Going to have them number 3, keeping them there off the bye. Number 4, I got the Philly Eagles jumping up a little bit, and that's because of the running back Saquon Barkley. Everyone saw it last week. 255 on the ground, 300 total purpose yards, 2 monster 70-yard plus touchdown runs. The guy's a game breaker. And when you add all the rest of the talent on offense, it gets scary. And then their defense is just figuring it out the farther it goes. These cornerbacks, Cooper DeJean, Milkman, and Quinyon Mitchell, excuse me. I mean, he's a lockdown. These guys are absolute beasts on Philly's defense, so I'm going to have them as number 4. Number 5, I said last week, even with the loss, I'm still keeping them in my top 5. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was a weird one against the Browns. It was an odd weather game. Don't want to hold that against them too much. Only Russ's first loss as a starter. I think their defense is damn good. I do think they should move TJ Watt a little bit on the line to get him some different looks. He's getting doubled nonstop coming off his one side. And people can game plan when he doesn't move. Let's just run away from TJ. Game plan passes away from TJ, and it helps keep him out of the game. So they got to get him more involved on the defensive side, but I'm keeping them at number 5. My number 6, it hurts me to have him here because I don't think they've played the best as of late, but the record's just too good not to have them here, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold played very well against the Bears this past week, but he had been on a bit of a struggle train the couple of weeks prior. I do love that the run game got going the way it did with Aaron Jones. Their defense is just going to blitz the hell at any quarterback. So you love that. They're going to be ferocious on defense. But I've got them at number 6. I wish they were winning games a little bit bigger to have them higher in my power rankings, but that's where I'm going to have them at number 6, honorable mention.
Okay. I like that. I like it. That 6 spot, that 5 and 6 spot is so
tough. It's tough. A lot of teams could fit right there.
I've written down 4 teams and I've crossed out 3 of them. It's like, I don't know what to do. Colin, I'm jumping to you. What you got?
Yeah, very similar kind of outlook here on my teams as well. Have the Lions still at number 1 where I had them last week. Just another dominant performance on the road. Not much more to say about that. Big Thanksgiving matchup coming up this week. As always, number 2, I went back and forth because I just haven't been too impressed with Kansas City this year. I want to really be a hot take and put Buffalo at 2, but I'll keep Kansas City here at 2. Like you said, they had a bye last week. Buffalo did. So if Buffalo played in one, maybe I would have been more comfortable making that jump. But I'm going to go Detroit, Kansas City, Buffalo at 3, Philly at 4 here. Talking about Saquon Barkley, he had more all-purpose yards himself than the whole Giants team had this past week. That is insane. Their owner is not having a wink of sleep at all. Philly at 4, they're looking really formidable right now. Number 5, I went back and forth between a few teams here. I'm going to put Minnesota at 5. They almost remind me of that Minnesota team from a couple of years ago where they were like, what were they, like 14-3, 13-3, something like that. Just won every one-score game they played. They're not winning.
11-0 in one-score games.
Yeah, exactly. 11-0 one-score games. They're not winning pretty as of late, but they're still winning. So you got to put something behind that. Flores and O'Connell on both sides of the ball. Really like that coaching staff.
Yeah.
And then at the honorable mention spot, went back and forth between a few ones here. But I'm going to put Green Bay in my honorable mention. I know no Brock Purdy for the Niners. Obviously, they're very banged up, both sides of the ball. But Green Bay came out and did exactly what they had to do and just absolutely thumped them. So I'll put Green Bay in my honorable mention spot this week.
Okay. I like that. That's where I'm going to start with mine is honorable mention spot Green Bay Packers. Like the 49ers, I know it was a backup quarterback, and yes, that sucks. But Brandon Allen didn't play bad. His one interception was Deebo Samuel's fault. Deebo Samuel's just didn't catch the ball. Deebo has fallen off a freaking cliff, by the way.
Yes.
Very bad. Very bad. But I'm more impressed, like, with Green Bay's rushing attack in this game. Like, the 49ers defensive line was intact, minus Nick Bosa, who doesn't play that huge of a factor in the run game. And the creativity I'm seeing out of Matt LaFleur, again, we love Matt LaFleur, most of us on this show. Addison probably hates him. I get it.
I respect him.
Respect, but hate him. Right.
He hates that he loves them.
Yeah, he loves him. But Josh Jacobs, I mean, 3 touchdowns on the ground. And that's a game where it's like, okay, these guys have owned us. The Niners have owned them. That's a mental hurdle you got to get over. So I got to give them props for that. And I'm going to have them at 6. Number 5, I've got Pittsburgh here. I don't love it. I could justify Pittsburgh. I could justify Minnesota. I could justify Baltimore. Honest to God, I could. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh, though, and just chalk up the Thursday night loss to the Browns as a game that they're 0-7 on Thursday nights on the road, interdivision. Like, so they were going to lose that game no matter what.
That's weird. Yeah.
It's just weird, and I'm going to move on from it and have them here. Colin, you were talking about hot takes. My number 4 team in the power rankings for this week's the Kansas City Chiefs. It is. I'm sorry. You beat Denver on a blocked field goal. You lost to Buffalo, and then you just beat Carolina by 3 points. 3 points. What has everyone else done against Carolina? Kicked the piss out of them. Just beat them bad. Carolina isn't in any football game. And yeah, okay, they won 2 of 3 before this. What are we doing? Why are we tied with no time left in this game? Kansas City, Noah Gray's the leading receiver. Their defense that I was talking up all year, like, hey, I'm not worried about the offense, but the defense is insane in Kansas City. 27 to Bryce Young and the Panthers after giving up 30 plus to the Bills. I have concerns. I know I'm going to look back and be like, Nate, what were you doing? It's the Kansas City Chiefs, man. But this week, right now in the NFL, I've got them at 4 because they lost to my number 3 team, the Buffalo Bills, last week. I had Buffalo at 3. They didn't play. I'm not moving them. I'm going to keep them right there. Number 2, man, this is my Super Bowl pick from the beginning of the year is Philadelphia Eagles. These guys look insane. They're getting healthy at the right time. That defense is flying around the field. Their linebackers are insane. I mean, that Zach Bond guy that Vic Fangio brought in, he's like PFF's number 2 linebacker in the NFL this year, and he cost them nothing. He's costing them pennies. Their Quinyon Mitchell's insane. They've got some exciting whites on the back end of that defense. They're very good right now. That's a team that I think you can just go ahead and book them to play the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
That's the game I think we're all looking forward to is those 2 teams duking it out for the NFC Championship game because I don't know who stops them. I mean, maybe Minnesota or Green Bay, but those are the 2 teams right now where it's like, damn, these teams look awesome. I mean, the Rams are playing good football, and they just hung 37 on them on their home turf. I mean, that is insane. And I can't say anything about Detroit that we haven't already said. This felt like a letdown game, and they won by 18. I was like, oh, wow, they didn't look so good, and they won 24-6. I mean, what are we talking about? They look like the best team in the NFL by a long shot right now. I don't know when the letdown is going to happen. Detroit's history indicates it will happen at some point. But right now, man, they look unstoppable. So those are the power rankings for the week. We've got the pretty much same 6 teams. Really, you could argue 7, maybe 8 teams in there for the top 6 right now. But I think very clearly we've got a top 4. And Lions, Eagles, Bills, Chiefs. Those are your top 4 teams right now. And then after that, argue amongst yourselves.